Hey, what it do? It's MMA Toad. I'm going to go through UFC 304, recap the entire night, things I was impressed with, things I was frustrated with, and my overall reaction to the card. Thanks for hanging out. As always, hit the like button, follow, subscribe for more action. Kicking off the card, we had Shauna Bonin winning via decision. Elise stepped in short notice. Cardio wasn't all that great, and ultimately it cost her the fight. I think Elise came out strong. Bonin's got some flaws in her game, ironically, with that pedigree in kickboxing. Her grappling, her wrestling is just not quite there. So anyone who's able to mix it or specialize in that is going to control where the fight goes and otherwise win via decision pretty easily against Bonin, as long as you can take her off the feet. Next on the prelim, I had Mick Parkin hitting a knockout against Lucas Brzezinski, who may be out of the UFC after that loss. Nice early prelim. Heavyweight bout. Sometimes you get some of these non-ranked guys and they just want to hug up and then just kind of blob on each other. This is a good striking exchange. Parkin does kind of leave himself a little exposed on the entry, kind of that take one to give one mentality. He loads up on his right, and I would like to see him maybe combo it better in the future and set it up, because a better sniper would definitely put him out. Next, we have Patterson hunting his submission against Crosby. Crosby came out the gates, cracked him a little bit. Sam adjusted great, worked him to the ground. Got a pretty quick submission. I like Patterson in the sense where this guy's finisher. Wrapping up the early prelims, we have Modestas and Prochnow. Fight was actually entertaining to watch. There was a lot of exchanges. Generally, it was Prochnow eating several to give some, and those some were solid counters that had Modestas on the back to recover. The fight ended up dragging on. But again, Prochnow was pretty tough, entertaining fight. Now on my pick, I had Prochnow. On my parlay, I actually had Modestas. At this point, I was 4 for 4 on my picks and distance going into the prelim. On the Elliott and Parsons fight, I was actually surprised with how good Elliott's takedown defense was. Parsons, he's got kind of that relentless pressure. He's going to use that background of his wrestling to his advantage. Not last night. He was 1 for 9 on his takedowns. I was actually calling for him to strike more. I felt like he had success. And looking at the statistics, he did. I mean, had he not wasted all of his energy and effort trying to resume a very unsuccessful campaign in his wrestling in this fight, could have ended differently for him. Fair play to Elliott, though. Made it look fairly easy. All right, so this one's interesting. Mohamed Mokaev versus Manel Kape. Yeah, the whole tension going into this fight. Give me the extra security escorting these guys out. They're trying to fight each other. Behind the scenes, they fought each other at the lobby. Manel and one of his homies versus Mokaev's entire team. Mokaev's got a gash down his eye. Kape's sitting here tweeting his inferior DNA and all these. Holy fucking shit, did this fight have like this crazy prelude coming down to what? Two guys who literally sat at range, too afraid to strike. The wrestler, too afraid to shoot. And the whole time I'm sitting there like, where the fuck is this rivalry at? Where the fuck is this animosity at? Well, going into the second round, Manel Kape, in one of the, scruffles, breaks his fucking big toe. Clear as day on the camera. You can see the toe's like sideways. And so he's a little bit immobilized. I'm hoping Mokaev will pick up his pace. Now if he shoots through the single leg, he gets him hopping on that bad foot. That's a problem. Maybe pressures Manel across the side of the octagon. Try to wear on him. We all know Kape has bad weight cuts, so why wouldn't you want to use your wrestling, wear out your opponent over this fight, and take advantage of the third to hunt for your finish? I mean, Mokaev's, if anything, a late fight finisher anyways. Isn't this part of his strategy? But no, he literally takes his sweet, delicate time until finally he gets a takedown, gets Manel on the ground, and starts ripping off his fight trunks. Manel throws his hands in the air, protesting, hey, what the fuck is going on? Beltran looks at him, calls for the timeout, gets Mokaev over, starts yelling at him like a baseball dad. He's like, don't you walk away from me when I'm talking to you. And literally just nothing happens. Not even a point was deducted. And at this point, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Fence grab, do all these things because they don't have like a actual uniform process of if you fuck around, you'll find out. So just keep fucking around because if you're not doing it, you're not trying, right? So Yeah, Makayev rips down the pants of Manel and ends up going back to a standing position. All that happened is that he lost his takedown, and at this point, Manel's big toes busted. His movement's shit. It's clear that he's just staying and just kind of weaving punches, which, yes, he, with one leg, was still dodging a majority of anything from Makayev. And I figured, again, Makayev would work his pressure, work for this single leg and get him hopping up and down on that 1 foot, or get him up against the side of the octagon, stomp these toes. But yeah, Makayev is a free agent. Dana White made the joke that PFL will have a new undefeated fighter in their roster soon. So yeah, I think he's done. No one's been impressed by this dude's performances. And so again, to recap, surprised there wasn't anything done in terms of points being deducted. Surprised that these two just didn't bring it towards one another. And even the fight ended with them bowing in respect. And after all the things said, done, exchanged, was very odd and surprising. Next, we had Hadley and Lagren. Was very surprised that Lagren kept chasing Hadley the entire fight, eating all these punches like bowls of cereal. Dude's head's about 3 times the size of any other bantamweights, and he was very unfazed by all of this. Clearly, there's levels to this, and I don't know where Lagren fits into it in the UFC. But hey, he's a UK boy, and it's a UK card, so get him on there, right? Next on the card, we had Meatball, Molly McCann, and Bruna Brazil. A lot of people, including myself, thought Molly would come out fierce, relentless, throw some of those risky shots, the spinning back fist, the elbows. At one point, she threw a spinning kick, got caught doing so, and towards the end of the fight, she tried throwing a spinning elbow. Didn't have any success there with it. Looked like it was blocked. Brazil's okay. She's not bad. That's twice in a row now. They've thrown her somebody who loves to strike, and she has no problem mixing it. She's actually pretty good and lengthy for the weight class, and so she moves on. The last time I've seen somebody do this to Molly McCann was Erin Blanchfield. Just literally pummeled the shit out of Molly. Molly had horns growing out of her head. Yeah, Bruna, if you didn't know who she was before the fight, you do now. I didn't respect what she did against Bonin, and so now that she's done it once again to a level of competition that is far above Bonin, okay, know who she is now, and she's a hell of a dog in any future cards, and I may consider that. Nathaniel Wood coming out, looking very good in this fight. Many times you thought he'd get the finish, which I had the fight going all 3 rounds, Nathaniel Wood by decision, so was hoping that it wouldn't, but nonetheless, he pulled it through, hit a decision. Guy looks good. His cardio is pretty crazy. He can keep a pace for 3 rounds. That's pretty relentless at featherweight. He also isn't the biggest featherweight. He's going to run into some big problems once he starts running into those guys like Diego Lopez and some of those. But in the meantime, as long as he keeps getting these kind of matchups, I'm going to see him kind of flourishing in that mixture of his striking and the bits of grappling exchanges that he does. So good job. At this point, the prelims were very so-and-so. Going into the main card, I knew there were some great fights ahead of us, and they didn't fail to deliver from here. So first on the main card, we had Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze. Giga looked very good in the first round. I was worried for Arnold. He was able to make the adjustments necessary, start trading back. Same kind of thing, was kind of just chasing in, eating shots, Giga circling off, using his range, using his kickboxing, and was just more technically sound. Arnold was able to start mixing it a little bit later and find success with his left. It was always his left that was connecting and hurting Giga often in the end. Third round, the blood started pouring. We had it 1-1, and Arnold edged the decision. So Arnold, again, it's weird how he just has this like fierce tenacity. You think back to fights like Dan Hooker, where he's just pouring it in, and he's just one of those guys that even on the ground he can threaten a submission as well. So next on the card, we had Leroy Duncan versus Gregory Rodriguez. Going into this fight, I thought for sure it wouldn't go the distance. You had 2 just finishers, both packing crazy power. Rodriguez is one of those traditional jiu-jitsu guys, comes into MMA, has astonishing power, falls in love with the boxing, and since joining UFC, I mean, he's really more known for his knockouts than he is his submissions. A lot of people thought Duncan would be faster than Rodriguez. I thought Rodriguez having the ability to mix it would give him the edge in this fight. And so, yeah, he does move on to win the decision. Both men were pretty bloodied up. Rodriguez looked solid. I was surprised to see the cardio of anything for the fact that this went all 3 rounds. And what the fuck is going on with this fly? And so, yeah, you guys asked me 2 years ago, hey, would Paddy Pimblett eventually go out and starch the shit out of Tony Ferguson on the feet, and Bobby Green, even better yet? I would laugh at you and be like, on the feet? Maybe in the grappling, but no. Paddy doesn't have the boxing. And to our surprise, Paddy made Bobby Green go into shoot because he wasn't liking what was happening to his face. And in doing so, he gave up his neck. And Paddy has one of the meanest guillotines in the UFC. And, yeah, holy shit. Now, I actually would love to see Paddy be able to work his way up to fight someone like Charles Oliveira, who would be a bigger problem for Paddy on the feet. But it's more of the exchange in jiu-jitsu. I want to see that unravel. And honestly, it'd just be a big star power fight. Charles is a draw. Paddy's a little bit of a draw. It would be pretty solid. But that's a ways away. Paddy is a win or two away from even fighting anyone remotely close in the top 5. It's just one of those, could we ever eventually see it? Maybe Charles DuBronx, if he doesn't get his title, starts doing just kind of fun fights like that on his way out, kind of like the way Silva did fighting Izzy. And Paddy's actually smart, calls out Money Moicano, and that is a spectacular fight, perfect for each other, styles. I think Moicano still may be more technically sound on the feet. It's just really hard to know where exactly Paddy stands from just what I saw last night as far as being able to strike and who he's able to strike with. Bobby Green is by far one of the best strikers in the lightweight, so as long as maybe he doesn't have as much of a size advantage, maybe that would work against Paddy. I love the post-fight Octagon interview, calling out his little buddy he's supporting, Chatty the Batty. Paddy's got a heart of gold, and I know the whole thing with Ariel and just being oblivious to the actual fight with Gordon at the moment of being interviewed in the Octagon. Since seeing some interviews, he's really come back on a lot of that and understands he put on a shit performance and was just full of himself. But I still think he's one of the better personalities in UFC, and man, congratulations to the top 15. He did it. A lot of people doubted him, and he did it in spectacular fashion. So let's go, Paddy Pimblett. And so moving into the co-main event, we had Tom Aspinall fighting Curtis Blades. Thought this fight would somehow last into the second, third round. Tom just wanting to be very cautious, taking his time, getting his range, and having some sort of grappling altercation that would eventually break away or end the round. Was really curious to see someone like Blades test, if on the ground, what's his jiu-jitsu look like from Tom Aspinall that we just simply never get to see. The guy ends his fight within the first minute or two. I kept thinking about what his dad had said in the vlog. Like, I would love Tom to have a 4 or 5 round fight. I think he'd have a lot of fun, but unfortunately, he's just too good of a finisher. He sees the opportunity, and he's very good at it. Tom has shown that he can take some punches. Curtis cracked him with a few good shots, and these shots could put out a lot of people, I'm sure, in the heavyweight division. Now, both from Sergey, Curtis, Tom's absorbed these shots and has come back and retaliated with his own. And what's even crazier is we're not even seeing the most flush, powerful shots from Tom. He's just possessing that much power. His speed gets him in and out quickly, safely. He's big, so he's able to do this at a solid range as well. His ability to mix it on top of all these feats is just why he's going to be your undisputed champion. And you can tell in all the awkward mannerisms, Dana knows that John is going to retire and Stipe is going to retire. That belt is being fought for fucking nothing, because after that fight, it's going to be just Tom at the top of the division. And, he's beaten Sergey, he's beaten now Curtis Blades, and Ciryl Gane doesn't want it. And guess what? We all know Ciryl can't mix it. The recipe's right there. Thanks to someone like John Jones, you just pick the guy up and put him on the ground and the fight's over in your favor. So congratulations, Tom Aspinall. Sorry to Curtis. Both of you keep working hard. And I can see both of you at the top of this division for some time. So last but not least, Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad 2. Everyone counted out Belal, including myself. No one wanted the guy to win. Leon Edwards was disposing of him. Although a while ago, Belal didn't have a single chance of winning that last fight. Eye poke stoppage, we move on. Leon had since beat Usman twice. And in the most recent fight, very dominantly, striking, wrestling, all of it on display. It was because of his ability to counter wrestle and handle Usman as well as Leon did that I thought there is no fucking way that Belal will come in and have his way with Leon the way he does his other fights, his constant grinding and wrestling. And he most absolutely did. Now, his slams on the head were technically illegal, but hey, like I said earlier, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. So grab the fence and slam your opponents on the head. Just don't rip off the pants and you should be just fine. And Belal absolutely destroyed Leon in most facets of this fight. And this is the part that boils my piss. Leon Edwards was dropped several times on his head last night as a grown adult in the octagon. He was also dropped several times as a fucking infant, clearly, because his fight IQ was piss poor. He's down in rounds. He needs a finish. And you get a 10-second warning that the round's going to end in a fight in a round that you're otherwise losing, and he's grappling on and trying to advance positions. Quit fucking grappling. Throw some fucking elbows. Start throwing some fucking knees that you didn't throw. And try to finish the fight. Ironic enough, at the end of the fight, he hit him with a single fucking elbow and blood was oozing out. And if you don't know what a TKO is, it's when you land repeated, unanswered shots to your opponent who is otherwise almost defenseless, that someone can stop and end the fight. And that's what you needed. You needed a TKO. You needed a knockout. And you weren't letting your fucking hands go, bro. I don't know where Leon Edwards is going. Much like Usman, he lost a lot of aura. This is a once-in-a-lifetime streak that he was able to achieve in the UFC, and no, he'll never get it back. And being the degenerate I am, I certainly had a couple parlays rolling into this main event that if Leon ended the fight in the 5th round, got a knockout, stars would align, and, well, about $10 worth of parlays were going to hit me pretty close to $600. Now, it's okay. That's why it's a low sweat bet. Not a big deal. I was honestly hoping Shavkat would come up and be the one to finish Leon, take a lot of that hype away. Islam come up. Belal just threw a fucking wrench in all this for me, so